Django, have you never...
Gotta be fucking kidding.
Here's the first movie.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Peel that pig and slice him thick.
The body count is always bigger.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
And the fucking trees walked in those movies.
Hi, doggy.
What a story, Mark.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Life moves pretty fast.
If you want your sequel to become a franchise.
37 dicks.
In a row?
I'm your number one fan.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Marathon Me with your hosts Rhys
and Kane.
And we're back with our Tarantino marathon with a very, very popular film of his. Not Django, but Django Unchained. What?
Oh, did you also call it Django as like when you were younger?
When I was a child, 100%. Because what would make you think that the D is silent? But now that we're grown up, and after watching the movie, you know that it's silent. But this movie isn't very silent. It's very loud. It's very, very in your face, and
it's very loud, over the top, very just very insane is one way to say.
It does not take any shortcuts, and it doesn't whisper in any scene of the film. But Kane, do you like Django Unchained?
Now, here's the thing. Look, I was going in already a bit biased because I love Westerns, so I already had, the film already had that going for it. I will say, I fucking adored this movie.
Oh.
I fucking adored it.
That is so good to hear. It would have been very upsetting if you didn't like it. Dude, how freaking great is this film? Like,
oh my fucking god.
What a fun watch from beginning to end. And,
yes.
Oh, dude, it just gets the balance perfect with taking itself seriously and its playfulness of the subject matter.
Oh my god, yes. It's like... because like Inglourious Basterds kind of had like a bit of a similar vibe where it's like it's taking a very serious kind of subject, you know, World War II and like, you know, the Holocaust and all that, but like, and kind of like walking a fine line between like being playful and having fun with the subject and like being very darkly comedic, but also taking itself seriously. But I think Django does all of that a lot better in this film, I reckon. I reckon that this is everything I wanted Inglourious Basterds to be. Like whatever Inglourious Basterds was missing, Django makes up for it and like does it better, I think.
Totally. Does it feel a little bit like Inglourious Basterds is like Tarantino's trial run for this type of tone and this type of setting?
A little bit, yeah.
I completely think so. And in like, it's just... It's so sensationalist as fuck, but feels like it's all at the expense of the white slave owners. And it's interesting that Tarantino does these two like period pieces almost after one another that present as revenge stories for a particular racial minority. Isn't that very specifically interesting? Like, what was going on in Tarantino's head in like around this 2010 sort of period that he's like, I feel like that I want to I'm almost upset in the injustices in the world, and I want to, through my films, get revenge on these injustices.
Yeah, no, it is an interesting thought. It's like, what was like, going on through his mind, what was going on in like the kind of almost, you could even think like almost like what was going on in like the sort of political climate from like circa 2008 to 2012, you know what I mean? Like to propel him to give him the idea to like make two films, two revenge stories about during two of the darkest times in human history, you know?
Yeah, because maybe it also came as a little bit of a reflection of him just doing Grindhouse is the most recent picture that he's done before Inglourious Basterds, and it probably is the one that has the least to sort of like. It's one that is a complete love letter to just movies and doesn't really say a lot more other than that, really. And the one beforehand as well, with Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, very much just talking about exploitation cinema. Is it almost like he had this epiphany that it's like, I can say and do a lot more through this medium of films than just talking about films. But
that is a good thing to think about, yeah.
But speaking of films, here is the trailer for Django Unchained.
In my world, you gotta get dirty. So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting dirty.
Say, what is your name, boy?
Django. How'd you like the bounty hunting business?
Kill white folks and they pay you for it. It's not the light.
I like the way you die, boy.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
I need 100 black covers for 100 bad men, 100 black grapes so I can...
Something up with these two. They here for that girl.
We gonna have us a Candyland tartan feathering in this house.
Monsieur Candy. Whenever you're ready.
So, funny story about this movie, right, is that I've had the DVD since, like, when it originally came out, like, back in, like, 2013, and I remember, because, like, I had a thing, like, when I was really getting into film back in high school, I would have a thing where, like, I would watch a movie every night before going to bed before school, and... as like a 14-year-old, I'm like, oh yeah, let's just chuck on Django Unchained. So one, I never finished it. I think I watched like half of it. I think I stopped watching right up to the point they got to Candyland.
Okay.
Which then I think I just like either fell asleep or I was just like, all right, just like got not bored, but like, you know, I needed to go to school tomorrow.
At that point, the movie had barely started. Then, really.
Yeah, no, we'll get into that later. But yeah, so it gets up to Candyland, and like I started watching, and I remember so basically I didn't really remember a lot about the movie. All I remembered going into this technically rewatch, but also a bit of a fresh viewing. All I remembered was the Jonah Hill cameo, and obviously the two protagonists. I remembered fuck all about anything else. I didn't remember the god tier soundtrack. I didn't remember the gratuitous pulpy violence. I didn't remember like any of like the dark comedy. I didn't remember any of it. So technically I was going in with a fresh viewing, and oh my god, this movie's so fucking cool. Like dude, like I'm not kidding. In my notes, I think every third note was just holy shit, blank is so cool, or like this is so cool. Oh my goodness. Like I was gonna write in my Letterboxd review that this is probably Tarantino's coolest movie, in my opinion.
It is extremely fucking cool, undeniably. And
oh my goodness, yeah.
I hope that you didn't go into this rewatch just remembering Jonah Hill, expecting to see like Superbad. but dude, it is. It just like it knows so specifically when to be serious and when to have an explosive bullet of blood just like cartoonishly exploding off of a human being. Like, and like this violence is so cool because it's almost meditative and basking in the blood of these cruel people. Like, you find it cool because of how like deserving almost this twist on history is. And whenever the violence is being inflicted on the slave characters, it's far more controlled, raw, and unsensationalized because like that shit was real. And
oh my goodness, yeah.
And because that shit was real, it doesn't want to be played with. Tarantino doesn't want to play with it. But the fun that he has is in celebrating the violence that didn't happen, which was this like violence against the slave owners. And this like power dynamic shifting is just like so cool to see play out. It's cool is a way to summarize this movie.
I think I agree with you that like the way that this film like handles its use of violence in like in both ways, where it's sensationalizing it with like, you know, the murder of all the slave owners and all that, but it plays it super fucking seriously whenever like, you know, there's violence being done to the actual slaves in the movie. Like it pulls no punches and makes you feel really fucking uncomfortable. Like this movie is, I think, one of the oh my god. So, like, I say that this is his coolest movie, but also the tension, like, some of the scenes in this movie, the tension, oh my fucking god. I feel like I was watching a horror movie half the time because I'm so goddamn tense watching this movie.
Completely.
So the first half is like, they're kind of like having a lot of fun, killing slave owners and all that. But like once we get to Candyland and we have the dynamic between Christoph Waltz, Jamie Foxx, Samuel L. Jackson, and Leo. Oh my god, you could cut the tension with a fucking knife, bro. It is because I've had this movie spoiled to me, so like I knew some of the major plot points, but even knowing, I'm still clenching my fists just in like absolute like terror of what is going to happen next. You know what I mean?
Oh, I feel like I didn't even realize. So was this the first time that you watched the entire thing?
Yes.
Oh, that is amazing! That's freaking. Yeah. Oh, that is great, dude.
Yeah, and like, oh my
what a satisfying experience that would have been.
Oh my goodness, yes. Now, again, sadly, I did have a lot of big moments, like big plot moments spoiled to me. Mainly, what's it called? The big character deaths, Schultz and Leo, Calvin Candy. But even going in knowing that they die, this whole movie just felt like such a rewarding fucking experience.
It's still so effective, even if you know what's going on, because of the execution and the pacing of the entire thing. The pacing is so integral to this movie, because there's also these like distinct sort of sections as well that Tarantino seems to do that so well, right? Is breaking up his films into very distinct like acts. And like before getting to Candyland, it's like the tension isn't really there yet, because Django feels like a superhero. Like, you don't think that he's gonna die at this point, or like that he's in any sort of danger, because he's so powerful, because he is taking no prisoners. He does not show any sense of fear at this point, right? Through this first act. And then it's only until getting to Candyland that then the tension sort of rises, because you're like, oh, Django's a little bit frightened now. And like this is one thing that I noticed too, that the Tarantino seems to love building tension with and using as a tool, is this idea of characters undercover. Like, he did this in Reservoir Dogs, of course, in Jackie Brown, in Inglourious Bastards, and here they're undercover as well in Candyland, and being like undercover in like the Lion's Den too, which just makes the stakes so much higher for that tension. And and he does like there's so much fear in pretending to be someone that you're not, and this film gets that down pat from Act 2 onwards so perfectly.
Especially because like the tension is like the stakes, I think, are like just raised like from zero. Not like that the stakes weren't high during like the first act, but like once they get to Candyland, the stakes are raised like from 0 to 100, because there's a lot at stake. You've got they're trying to get Django's wife out of Candyland, and you've also got them being undercover as like, I think it was like what do you call it? Like, because they were like trying to buy like slaves as fighters and all that.
Yeah.
They were they were like fighters and all that, and having Django go undercover as basically almost a pseudo slave owner is a very interesting dynamic to see, and oh my goodness, it was very interesting to see,
and it also. Like, it still ties into this constant exploration of identity in these Tarantino movies, where this is so much about Django's identity as he's experiencing life as a free man for the first time. And as a free man, Django gets to embody this, like, revenge wish fulfillment. And it's so beautiful, but also is so quickly, once he has been able to experience this new version of himself, he has to so quickly pretend to be someone else again. And this like discomfort in pretending to be someone else is so like it really, I think, speaks to most viewers as this really uncomfortable thing that you want to avoid, especially when trying to sell it to someone else that if the House of Cards falls, then you could die. You could be you're like all everything is lost in that moment. Something that you mentioned before was that when you stopped watching the film early on as a 13-year-old, is that what was because of the runtime. Did you feel the runtime this time around? Because it's a pretty long movie.
No, not at all. Not at all. Like, if anything, I wish the movie was longer. Like, I like this. It felt like such. I did not like check my watch at all. Like, I wasn't bored throughout. Like, it was a long movie, yes, but like the runtime felt like it flew by for me.
One of the shortest feeling 2.5-hour movies ever.
Yes, exactly. Which is actually funny because we have a little bit of criticism about this movie. We've got someone who is not a fan of the runtime. Good old special friend of the podcast. You know him very well, my brother Nicholas. He thinks the movie's way too long.
What?
Yeah, he doesn't. He thinks that the climax outstays its welcome.
Oh, maybe that is. Oh, there is not a second on screen that I'm thinking, okay, speed it up here.
Yeah, like, look, on one hand, I see where he's coming from because during the original Candyland shootout, like, you kind of think that's when the movie's going to end, and then obviously Django gets imprisoned and then meets Tarantino and John Jarrett and then goes back to Candyland. And in a sense, I can see where he's coming from, but at the same time, it's like, it's fine. Like, I don't mind that the movie keeps going. Like, I don't mind that. It's like, we need to have... Like, I do like that, like, we have Django at his, at another low point before coming back and, saving the day, you know?
Oh, completely. Because also, like, I think it's a great, almost, like, pulling the rug from under you of that fake... Like, it's almost like a fake ending, because...
Yeah, true!
This is my take on this ending. Spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen the movie and know how it ends, but also, it's pretty much spoiling history, is that why I feel Tarantino doesn't want to end it there is that killing all the people in this, like, shootout in the house is almost like... not enough. It's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough revenge to just kill all those people, because he then comes back later, and that's when the plantation, like, he explodes the house, right? And it bursts into flames, and it's almost like killing the people is not enough. You need to destroy the construct that forms these people, which is the plantation. The system of how a plantation works and thrives. You need to destroy that, and that's what he comes back to do, and reclaiming his love as a person instead of a tool, and that is how you win the slave war instead of just killing these soldiers of it, because it's not just the people that are fucked and corrupted, it is the system that is making them that way. And like, that is so much more impactful and feels like it says a lot more than let's just inflict pain back. But because that's what it is, I think. I think it's almost like okay, we've inflicted all the pain, but that is not enough. We now need to, combust the system.
We need to, like, almost destroy the slave iconography in a way.
Yeah,
you know.
And it's also, like, this is very, very typical for the director that we're exploring, but this also went through many rewrites that had a lot cut out of it. It was supposed to be a lot longer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if only, man. If only. I wish this movie was longer.
Like, get this. This is actually, I love this idea, but probably wasn't needed. Is that in one of the first writes of the film, Candy was supposed to have a left-hand man played by Kurt Russell. So Kurt Russell was supposed to come back, and like, I can picture this. Imagine this, like, gruff Kurt Russell as Candy's sort of muscle, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I can, especially like what we see. Like, I'm just imagining his character from The Hateful Eight as his right-hand man. 100%. I can definitely see that.
Like, completely. As well as the Hunters were supposed to have a lot more involvement, where, like, I'm not sure if you... Like, the Hunters, we only see very briefly when, like, there is a scene where Django... goes into their hut and, like, shoots them all, and it's like when, like, there's the man that comes out of the bath, and, like, you see your first dick in the movie. Also, like
the way those characters were all the way those characters were all, like, kind of, like, designed and dressed, it did definitely look like that. Like, they maybe the intention was they were going to have a bit more personality to them rather than just being almost like bodies for Django to take out. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. And like Zoe Bell from Grindhouse is also one of the female hunter in that. I don't know if you noticed or not.
I knew she looked familiar. I knew her from somewhere.
You could tell it by her eyes. Her eyes, they told a story. And just even having like Zoe Bell at like cast as that, and only in like 2 shots, it feels like it's not enough. It was supposed to be more, and it apparently was. So, but not necessary, right? So,
oh no, definitely not.
So good on the editor for being like, yep, we don't need this.
It's funny, because like you mentioned that the film was supposed to be longer and like more characters were supposed to have like more dimension and personality. In a way that maybe that could have worked, but in a way, I'm kind of thinking about this right now. We could have maybe ran into a Inglourious Basterds problem where like because Inglourious Basterds had like a lot of characters and a lot of them you kind of didn't get to know as well. It would almost like kind of like make Django, like the Django movie, feel a bit like not hard to connect with like with a solid character, you know, because that's the problem I had with Inglourious Basterds was like I found it difficult to latch onto one character because we kept changing between storylines. There were so many characters. Meanwhile, in Django Unchained, we're just following 2 central protagonists, 2 wonderful protagonists, which like I think was very much needed, you know.
Oh man, I could not agree more with you. There is you don't know who your main character is in Inglourious Basterds, where here it's quite obvious, and you know who you're following, and you are following this tale to the T. Like you are just like your attention is so gravitated towards it, right? And speaking of this protagonist, let's talk about Jamie Foxx. What do you think of him in this role?
Oh my god, he's so fucking cool.
Oh yeah. Like badass is like the word that I have put in my notes to describe him.
but also, I do love that like he's very understated in like a lot of the more over the top set pieces and all that. Like even though there's a lot of gratuitous over the top violence and blood splatter happening, he's very understated about it. Almost like that. Like he's still like he's almost he's so understated because like he's trying not to show fear, because I feel like deep down you can kind of sense that he's like, while he is a badass, there is a hint of fear behind him, especially like later on during the movie, because this man has a lot to lose, you know. One, his life obviously, but then also, you know, his new friend King Schultz, and also obviously his wife. Like you can tell that this is a man who is not only a badass, but like it feels very 3-dimensional because he has a lot to lose, you know?
I think the most effective thing about Jamie Foxx in this is how it's so great to see him slowly come out of his shell, almost. And like Fox and Tarantino tell this anecdote of Jamie Foxx being already cool and badass during the shooting the first scene of this movie. And Tarantino had to pull him aside and try and reel him in to like pep talk him to bring it down a lot more. where like they quote that Tarantino says to Jamie Foxx, "You're not a fucking superhero. You should be almost half dead. Act like you're half dead." Because that's how it should start, right? And how his arc should start is he's just gotten the bare minimum of freedom, and then he should turn into a superhero, like and like sort of build up that power, and like it's wild to imagine the alternative casting for this. Because do you know who was first intended to be Django?
Yeah, wasn't it? It was supposed to be Will Smith, right?
Yeah.
That is very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's like, imagine, it would have been like Wild West 2, man.
Oh my dear God! Have you seen Wild Wild West?
I have not seen Wild Wild West.
I've seen reviews. I've seen plenty of clips of it. My fucking God, I would love to like just like get smashed and watch it with you.
Oh,
honestly.
Me too. It's been in my list for a very long time because I'm just so interested.
It looks. The thing is, what is with Will? This is not the first time Will Smith has turned down like a huge role that like could have really Well, okay, maybe not boosted his career, because obviously the man is like a superstar. He's been in like, you know, a lot of the biggest films of all time. But like, I think a problem that I have with Will Smith is that like, bar some movies, he doesn't. I feel like he doesn't take any chances with his roles. You know, he almost kind of plays like almost a lot of safe roles. You know, like for example, he was supposed to be in The Matrix. He was originally going to be cast as Neo in The Matrix, and then turned it down to do Wild Wild West. Then we got Keanu Reeves as Neo. Yeah, did you know that?
I did not know that. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, it's fucked. And then obviously with Django Unchained, yeah, he was supposed to be in it, and then it was like turned it down. And then gave it to Jamie Foxx, which like honestly worked a lot better. But like it is very interesting because, like I said, like the man is always like kind of doing like, you know, these safe like almost mass appeal type movies where he's always like the charming, witty leading man type character. It's something that like I just really would like to see where like he plays like almost like, I don't want to say like an edgy role, but like something that like you wouldn't expect to see Will Smith in, you know what I mean?
He does need his uncut gems, right?
Yeah, no, literally, yeah. Something like Uncut Gems or like Good Time or something, where like he can almost kind of break his typecast almost, you know?
Because he is such a skilled actor, and it's like a lot of the content that he is given is so by the numbers, like completely. Only last night I went on a rant to you about The Pursuit of Happiness, which I have some strong fucking opinions about, and just like to summarize it, people, it is capitalist propaganda, but a fascinating time capsule that if you want to show aliens how like the flaws of romanticizing capitalism and the destruction that can be caused from that, show them The Pursuit of Happiness, and it will it'll tell them all they need to know in 2 hours. But anyway, Will Smith is great in that, and you really and it's because the material is very powerful. And instead, like at the time that fucking Django Unchained was coming out, Will Smith was in a film called After Earth, which is an M. Night Shyamalan directed sci-fi action movie that has a high 12% on Rotten Tomatoes for the critic score. For the audience score, 36%. And
Jesus, that's fucking terrible.
When do you ever hear anyone talking about After Earth? Where instead of doing this, he could have been doing Django Unchained, which still is as culturally relevant as it would have been in 2013.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Just before we get off the Will Smith thing, I just want to say that like how I was mentioning like edgy roles and all that, like that's how I imagined he was going to be in a Suicide Squad, because he was cast as Deadshot in that movie. I was thinking like, oh cool, we'll get to see Will Smith as almost like a villain in a sense, but no, he's just doing the Will Smith thing and all that.
Oh yeah,
like, he was just doing the classic Will Smith thing and all that. I mean, look, he was one of the better parts of that awful movie, but he was just doing like his normal thing, which like is very disappointing to watch. I just feel like that, you know, like, yeah, he's one of the central protagonists, but, you know, you could have had him maybe be like a, you know, do like an anti-hero type thing. But no. We're basically just doing his whole, almost his whole Men in Black shtick and all that, where he's a badass, but, you know, he's got jokes. He's got sass, you know? Like, we can't break the mold. No, not at all.
Men in Black's probably one of his better roles, right? Because he has more sass than he has, like, the straight man sort of attitude going on.
Oh, No, definitely. Like, no shade to Men in Black and all that, but, like, you know, like, I just pulled that out. It's, like, one of, like, the prime examples of, like, of, like, the Will Smith type cast, in a sense, you know?
Oh, totally. So, ultimately, like, Jamie Foxx was supposed to happen. Thank you, Will Smith, for turning this role down. Because, also, what's so cool about Jamie Foxx in this is that he's not a typical Tarantino cast member.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, he's new to the Tarantino club and all that, which is great to see.
But also,
and he fits like a glove.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was just saying he fits like a glove.
But also, like, Leo in this is not a typical Tarantino cast member either, but just becomes one so quickly. Let's talk about Leo.
My fucking god, he is incredible. He was nominated for like best supporting actor for Calvin Candy, right?
I'm quite sure he was nominated. Yes.
Yeah, he is fucking incredible in this. My fucking god.
And he just adopts this cartoon villain persona so well, right?
Oh, yeah.
and that's what makes him fitting for Tarantino, is that he doesn't play it straight. He, you can see the fucking passion and how much he just falls into this character. And
oh my god, yeah, no, he's having so much fun in this role as this, like, disgusting, awful monster.
What a great introduction for such a monster of a character, because when we are introduced to Candy, it is probably the most difficult scene in the film. Like, as in, when we see this slave fight happening in front of us, and it is probably the most graphic but realistic and grounded violence in the entire film. Like, it is, I think it's a great microcosm scene to compare it to all the violence that we see inflicted on the slave owners, and how there's all this, like, bursting sacks of blood going everywhere, where, compared to this fight scene where they're both covered in blood and, like being pushed to an edge of their life, but there's nothing glamorous about it. You feel filthy watching this fight happening.
Oh yeah, no, there's not a lot of, like, quick cuts during, like, 'cause, like, you know, during, like, a lot of the gunfights and this, there's a lot of quick cuts. With this, a lot of the shots tend to linger during the slave fight, just to really let the audience just to let, like, this horrible image sink in of, like, this is disgusting. Like, I feel gross watching this fight happen right now, and I have a burning hatred for the people that, like, are allowing this to happen and, like, getting enjoyment and entertainment out of watching this slave fight. Like, it's disgusting, and it works perfectly.
That's what the function of feeling disgusted by this is so fitting and so effective to communicate Candy's character, because we're physically, like, put to disgust by this scene, where you then see Candy watching it and not even gawking. Like, he's so used to it and enjoying it, and like it's whatever. Like, he's not watching human beings fight. He is watching a like an activity in a play almost going on in front of him.
It's almost like he's watching a wrestling match in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, the guy's even giving, like, coaching tips to his slave and all that. Like, he's like egging him on, be like, come on, he's trying to, like, egg him on and all that, and giving coaching tips like he's fucking Mickey from bloody Rocky, you know?
Yeah. And there's this really, really good dynamic here as well with Leonardo DiCaprio and Samuel Jackson's subservient slave character, which is supposed to act as this sinister mirror to the dynamic between Django and Waltz, where it's like Django and Christoph Waltz's character is just this almost idealized, like, mutual respect that, like, is almost wanted to have come about in this, like, area of in this time period of slave trade, that Tarantino's like, this is how it should have been and how the dynamics should have been, and how, like, this way of thought could have broken down the slave system if it just caught on and slowly went from person to person. That would have been the transitionary way of thinking about African people in that time, where then the dynamic between Samuel Jackson and Leonardo DiCaprio is the complete opposite, and, like, the most extreme of delusions of like the power dynamic, even it, like, infesting the minds of the slaves and of the African people at that time, where like, you don't get the feeling for a second that Samuel Jackson is trying to fight to be a free man, or is trying to fight to be anyone that isn't subservient of Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. No, it's almost like he's complacent, almost like a form of Stockholm syndrome, in a sense, where he has grown to almost, like, have a love and respect for his captor, you know?
Yeah, and that is, like, the most extreme of terrible outcomes of something like the slave trade, is when these ideas infest the African people themselves, and when it's almost a parasite that makes it feel like it is a virtuous thing to do to be in those power dynamics. And so it's a very important thing to highlight as an opposite dynamic to the one that we're supposed to be rooting for. And also, it's always good to see Samuel Jackson in a Tarantino movie.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, it is. Like, I actually kind of forgot that Samuel L. Jackson was actually in this movie. So when we get to Candyland and we see him, I'm like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, he's in this movie. And like, holy fucking shit, he is great. I mean, obviously it's Samuel L. Jackson. Like what the fuck? Like that's saying like water is wet. You know, like, he's great at anything.
Yeah, he does play though like a he does play this like sort of disheveled old man really really well. Where like you see him now and that's not him, even though that he is like getting up there in his age. It's like he's still super active and not seeming like as disheveled as he is here.
Oh yeah, no, he looks he looks like decrepit in this movie, like almost like Crypt Keeper old man type stuff, you know.
Oh, totally.
Meanwhile, like this is like 2012 and all that. Like, and meanwhile, you see him in like a lot of like the later MCU movies and all that. He's still fucking like, he still seems like he's like young. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. He still has the energy there.
Yeah, it's maddening, honestly. Like, Jesus Christ.
So in this role, he channels his actual age and how he should be in his age.
He's finally acting his age. Good on him.
Yeah, exactly. Act your fucking age, mate.
And then that same year was also playing Nick Fury in the first Avengers movie. So he completely backpedaled and was like, "Nah, I don't think I'm gonna act my age. No, I'm still gonna act like a young badass and all that. Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to doing that."
Damn, what?
And it's like, all right.
What two opposite characters to go by? Like this strong, impassioned leader, and then a subservient slave in the 1800s. Like,
oh yeah,
and hopefully he didn't let any N-word drops go on the set of Avengers. Because
yeah, nah, we can only hope. We can only hope.
Guess how many N-bombs were dropped in this film?
There were a lot. Look, I'm gonna take a wild guess. Maybe like over like 300 or some shit.
Oh, that's okay. A bit too much. There was
okay.
There were 110 uses of the N-word in this film.
Oh, okay. That's still way too many. Look, makes sense for the time period, but my God, you hear it so much in this movie that it almost becomes a form of white noise.
Yeah.
Just because of how like natural like a lot of these white slavers say it, you know, which like it makes sense for the time period, but like, oh my fucking God, like it's hard, like it just feels like fucking white noise after a while, because like that's how like a lot of those people were white, just because like they don't care. It's just a word to them, you know. It's not this hurtful, disgusting term. It's just a word. It's just a word like the F word or like fucking any other word in the dictionary, you know.
I feel like that what you just said could be edited around to sound terrible and sound like it's coming from your own opinions.
As I was saying that, in my head I'm thinking like, oh God, yeah, this could be taken out of context and make me look really bad, but I'm gonna keep going because I've made my points, and if you listen to the episode, you understand what I'm trying to say. But
context is key.
Don't take that out of context, people, please. Okay, I can't. I do not want to be put on blast on Twitter. All right, come on.
I wonder if Django Unchained is like the most Oscar-nominated film with the most amount of N-word drops.
Oh my goodness! Like cause like I don't even think because like I mean obviously 12 Years a Slave also had a lot of N-word drops, but like. I don't think I don't know if it was to the extent of Django Unchained, but like Jesus Christ, awful stuff.
Well, speaking of those Oscar noms, this movie won 2 Oscars.
Yes, didn't it? Yeah, it won for best screenplay. I remember. Wasn't that like Tarantino's like first Oscar? I want to say.
Oh no, because he also got best original screenplay for Pulp Fiction.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
But it was his second It was his first Oscar since Pulp Fiction for best original screenplay, and then of course it won for best supporting actor for Christoph Waltz.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Fuck. Oh my, yeah, no. Oh well, what can be said about Christoph Waltz? He's fucking incredible in this.
So so much. You go.
What an interesting like character shift compared to his last Tarantino film, where he plays like this disgusting nut, like SS officer, and then is playing this anti-slave owner, bounty hunter. Like it is what a switch, you know?
Oh, totally. Goes from a supervillain to a human being with virtue and morals, and like, but because he's the white dude that we wish could have been everyone in this time period.
Yeah.
It's almost like a progressive 21st century ideals, like transported into someone in this 19th century setting, and like he fucking sells this lovability with like so much charm and wit and the confidence to this character.
Oh my lord, yeah, no. I also really do love as well. This is going to his subsequent death scene and all that. I do love that, like, he dies almost.
You love that he dies? No.
No.
Yeah.
The way he dies, he dies because, well, obviously because of shooting Calvin, but like he dies because of his own pride and ego. Because after the dinner table scene and they come to an agreement. They got Broomhilda, but not Calvin. Schultz feels bested by Calvin in this game of wit almost in this game of wits and all that. He feels bested by Calvin because like while they got Broomhilda, he feels that Calvin beat him in the game of minds, you know, and so out of almost like sheer bitterness, just decides to be a sore loser and just shoot him. Like he's even kind of like fucking with him by being like, I'm not gonna shake your hand, we're leaving. Like almost like a kid that like loses in a game of sport and there's being like a real sourpuss about it, you know. Like did you kind of like get that?
Oh yeah,
did
yeah,
you, like,
totally.
See that?
It's like
I really like that, honestly.
It's he is willing to die for his ideals here, right? That he's like,
yeah.
I am these ideas, I am this progressive way of thinking, and I will die on that hill. And I'm satisfied with dying. Because he knows, he knows as well that it's not going to end well for him. But he's willing to do it anyway.
No. Yeah, no, it's great. Like, he dies for his ideals, but then also, like, the cause of his death is, like, out of, like, almost, like, he almost has to get, like, kind of, like, the last word in, you know?
Yeah, completely.
Like he could have walked away, but like he could have like shook his hand and walked away, but he's like, nah, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking shoot him. Like I'm not gonna let Calvin win. Fuck him.
Also, how great is that hidden handgun up his sleeve?
Oh my god! I rest in peace, Dr. King Schultz. You would have fucking loved Taxi Driver. Oh my god! No, it's so fucking cool though. I wish that was a weapon in Red Dead 2. Honestly.
Oh yeah, that would be a great weapon to have, especially like when you go into the saloon or something and you want to. That feels like a mission that has just been like lost, like the lost opportunity.
Definitely. Watching this... Oh, no, sorry, I was just gonna say, watching this movie, like, just made me really want to play Red Dead 2. That was all I wanted to say. Anyways, you go on.
Well, I was gonna mention that... Did you know that Christoph Waltz injured his pelvis falling off a horse in this movie?
I did not know that.
He was supposed to be a lot more active in, like... When you really think about it, Christoph Waltz wasn't really involved in too many very active sort of gun battles and action sequences in this film.
No, not at all, actually, I don't think.
He's sitting down and quite sort of stagnant or just standing up and walking, doing very simple moves in this because he injured his pelvis falling off of a horse on set, and it was either that they sort of rewrite him to be a lot more in one place, or they would have to like recast the movie, and they're not doing that because they knew the fucking goal that they had with Christoph Waltz.
No, that's interesting. I honestly like that. I like that dynamic more, where he's like Christoph Waltz is not doing really any of the violence. He's the coach almost. You know, he doesn't play the game. He's the coach for Django.
Yeah, true. It also makes him feel more grounded and like a human being because people do that. Like people aren't as active, so I think that it sort of grounds him a bit more. And like everyone knows about the injury with Leonardo DiCaprio as well, and the glass cut hand. But do you also know that he also injured himself on set when with like the hammer, with the hammer that he like that he crushed the skull with.
Yeah. Yeah. Where like he sliced his hand, right?
No.
That was when he like smashed the glass. Sorry.
But also with the hammer. The top of the hammer flew up and hit him in the head as well during this scene. So, like, Leo did not get out of this filming unscathed at all. He injured himself many times. And it seems...
Oh, no, but the man fucking committed to the bit, though.
Yeah, exactly. Is that he just kept on going. And it probably, because he put himself in this cartoonish character so much, that probably gave him this sensation of invincibility, where he's like... Just keep on going. It's all right. You're a cartoon character. Cartoon characters don't get hurt.
It's really crazy. Like honestly, like Leo in a Tarantino film, like now, like after seeing him in this and also Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, match made in fucking heaven. Because like, obviously he's more so known for like, you know, in terms of like him with a director relationship, he's more so known as a Scorsese mainstay. And a lot of those movies, he plays it super straight, super seriously. So seeing him in like a very cartoonish, over the top villainous role is like, it's so fucking like, it's interesting to see, honestly. And obviously, like, you know, obviously we've talked about the injury that he has during the dinner table scene, but even like, you know, every film fan, every entry level film fan knows about the injury. They know the scene, but even watching it especially within the context of the movie, it still fucking hits hard, man. It's still one of the most tense moments in the movie. My fucking goodness.
It feels like this performance was building up in Leonardo DiCaprio and just waiting to come out, but no director had given him the content to do it yet. But then he did it here and he let it all out and go freely going.
If there's something that DiCaprio does really well, it's just having freakouts in movies. Like, he's really great at just doing like a freakout, but like playing it completely straight, not like a Nicolas Cage freakout, where it's like it can be seen as played straight, but most of the time it's played for laughs. You know,
I feel like there's a lot,
most of the time unintentionally.
There's a lot bottled up in Leo that he needs to unleash almost.
You know what I think it is? Because he was so charming in all 3 hours of Titanic and very like very not understated, but like very almost subtle in a sense, that every movie since he has to like just let out some steam, you know?
Yeah, true. it's all this build up that then gives you something that is worth watching.
Oh, yeah.
It seems to be a recurring theme as well in these Tarantino films that casts seem to injure themselves on set quite often. Like we didn't mention in the Kill Bill episode, the car crash that Uma Thurman was in.
Oh my god, I cannot believe that like that did not cross any of our minds during the Kill Bill episode, because like that was like a that was like a thing that I would hear all the fucking time back, like before I even watched these Kill Bill movies, and I didn't even think about it while watching those movies.
Have you seen the footage of it happening?
No, I have not.
Man, there's something just like specifically gross and uncomfortable about watching these real life injuries happening on set. Yeah, it is. It like there is footage of it that only just recently actually came to public access because. There was apparently quite a lot of drama between Tarantino and Uma Thurman because Tarantino wasn't allowing access to the footage of it for like legal reasons. He wanted to keep it under wraps. But now it's available on YouTube, and it's really disturbing to see like the car go out of control and then just seeing Uma Thurman holding her head like together almost after she like...
Jesus.
Yeah, it's really, really upsetting to see.
Jesus Christ. Well, like, because like normally whenever like you suggest like a video or a movie to watch, I'm usually like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'll watch it after we finish recording. I mean, like now I'm just like, I mean, I'm curious, but I know I'm not going to enjoy it, you know?
Yeah. Oh my god, I can't wait to see Uma Thurman get hurt.
Oh my god. Yeah, I can't wait to see Uma Thurman replicate 1996's Crash by David Cronenberg. I cannot wait to see that.
Yeah, you already mentioned Tarantino's cameo here as one of the Australian slave traders.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love... so he was supposed to cast a different Aussie actor, but he couldn't make it, so he was just like, oh, I'll do it. And there's something that I sort of love about him doing this Australian accent that I can't, like... it's not great, but I can't get it.
It's terrible, but go
I
on.
can't get it out of my head. It's so endearing. It's such an endearing take on the Aussie accent, I feel.
It might be my favorite Tarantino cameo, bar Pulp Fiction, because I love his cameo in Pulp Fiction, but, like, this might be, like, my personal favorite cameo that he's done, just because it's just so fucking funny, honestly.
When he throws the dynamite in with the slaves, and he, like, and they all get, like, scared, and then he finds it really funny.
Yeah.
There's something so charmingly horrendous about his character in that moment.
Yeah. Also, like, it was great because, like, during that whole segment with, like, the Australian slave owners and all that, while watching it, one of the actors, I was like, is that the dude from Wolf Creek? And then, like, as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, that's the dude from Wolf Creek. And then, like, while watching the credits, I'm like, oh my god, yep, that's John Jarratt. Because, like, I have an eye for just spotting, very like character actors and all that. I have an eye for spotting like actors that are not like A-list, you know what I mean? Like every time I'm watching like a show, like say I'm watching Seinfeld and I'm like, that person looks familiar, or say like I'm watching something like Peep Show, for example. Like there's so many actors in Peep Show where like I look at their face and I'm like, they look familiar, I know them, that's blank. And then while watching the credits I'm like, yep, knew it. That's blank. Like while watching Peep Show, I saw like the dude that plays Gerard, and he's like one of the guys from Horrible Histories. The second I saw him, I'm like, that's the dude from Horrible Histories. And sorry. I'm letting my Peep Show.
Does John Jarratt pop up in Peep Show?
I fucking wish. It would have been nice to see some Australian pride in that show.
I know
but no.
absolutely zero Australian representation in Peep Show, from what I know.
No. There is. Like I think when Mark is dating that Australian girl during season 5, I think.
I cannot remember who the actress is.
I don't remember what her name was either, but I do remember she was Australian and all that. Just because when she's like swearing at Mark and all that, like the way she's saying like the swear words and all that, I'm like, all right, that sounds very Australian. And speaking of Australians, just seeing John Jarratt just made me want to watch Wolf Creek. Still gotta watch Wolf Creek. Really needs to.
Tarantino is a big fan of John Jarratt as well. Like because Tarantino loves like Ozploitation cinema so much. John Jarratt is such an important part of that genre of Australian cinema. A film that I love, that Tarantino also loves, that is completely underrated, that stars John Jarratt, is a movie from 1987 called Dark Age. And Dark Age is this crocodile creature feature that is probably when I went on this Australian cinema binge and I watched a lot of films that tried to include like Indigenous culture and history in it. This was probably one of the best and most respectful representations and inclusions of Indigenous history in a crocodile creature feature. Like,
I was gonna say that interesting type of movie to have like very well done representation. That's interesting right there.
It has freaking awesome practical effects. I don't think any CGI because it's not of the time of CGI. There is this really confronting scene in this where a child, like a 3 or 4 year old child, gets like eaten by a crocodile and like taken into crocodile waters by a crocodile, and you see this practical effect giant crocodile crunch on this child's head and then drag it down into the water.
Jesus Christ.
It is effective as hell, and like some of the best practical effects that I've seen for child death ever.
Oh my fucking god. Yeah, you know a movie's pulling no punches when they not only kill off a child, but they graphically show it.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I could not recommend this film more as a recommendation for people wanting to get into Ozploitation or even just like Australian cinema as a whole. John Jarratt in the main role. Guess its Rotten Tomatoes score.
I'm gonna guess probably like somewhere under 40, I want to say.
It has critic score 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, okay, never mind then. Sorry, I'm used to like Rotten Tomatoes always like giving shit reviews to like movies that are actually good.
Especially horror movies too.
Oh yeah, no, that whole website is like incredibly biased when it comes to like horror movies and like hell, even just like a lot of like movies that are loved by the public and all that. Like biggest example I can think of was like they gave like I think like a 50 or something to like Home Alone, you know, like they're very weird with their scorings, you know.
Well, if this is the only one to believe because 100% is exactly what this film deserves.
Nice.
Anyway, did you also pick the other Tarantino cameo in this film?
Are we talking like Tarantino the director? Or are we talking like one of his more his like cast members?
Like him himself in the film?
No, I don't think I did.
Ooh, okay. Well, he is the he plays the bagged head man, like of the KKK that decides that decides that everyone should take their bags off when they have like that scene where they're talking about the impracticality of these KKK bags on their head. He is the one that is like, hey, why are we doing this? Why do we have these bags on our heads? I can't barely see.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
what the fuck?
That's him. And
I guess I was just too distracted by seeing Jonah Hill as like the one of the main KKK members.
Yeah, legitimately, right. Yeah. I do not blame you because also what a weird role for Jonah Hill to be in.
Oh my lord! Like I'm just watching this and I'm like, okay, so this is probably what happened to Seth after Superbad. He just became a full-on racist and incel after blowing it with Jules.
He went to college, didn't get laid nearly as much as he thought he would, and then became a KKK member.
Yep, so the cycle goes.
Another very important note is that this film, I'm quite sure, correct me if I'm wrong, the first nudity that we see in a Tarantino film.
Yeah, I think so, yeah, and it's not glamorized at all.
Exactly.
Like, it feels very uncomfortable and gross, you know, like very, very exploitative.
And could not be further from sexualized. I think actually, like, in the way that it is presented, I think it's actually not like we see the person being exploited, but I think in a filmmaking practice, it's not exploitative because I would say that more like sexualized nudity is more exploitative in in the sense of filmmaking, but it just could not be further from sexualized and is so just matter of fact and grimy. And like this ties into just like Django's wife offering this really interesting motivation for Django, who has tasted freedom for like the first time and wants to share it. Like, isn't that such a great motivation for this? It's like and makes it so much sweeter and more. It gives so much more fuel to the fire of like Django's being given a chance, and his first order of business is to bring the people that he loves into this world as well.
What a fucking legend!
What a guy!
What a fucking legend! Honestly, what a man! What a man!
And like also one piece of like one piece of influence for the motivation of Schultz with like him wanting to help almost ties a little bit into the like ideology of Pulp Fiction a bit, like of how the main thing that brings him to like being so dedicated to helping Django, because it doesn't really, like, when you think about it, even though that he is a great guy, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for him to completely shift his focus to a random slave that he has just freed. To be like, okay, I'm going to make my 100% goal now, like almost life-ending goal. I don't even mind sacrificing myself on this journey to save you. What it's about, like, I only found this out on this watch, and I've watched this film a couple of times, is that a piece that really resonates with Schultz is that he highlights is this slim chance of Django's wife speaking German. And and how he does himself, obviously coming from like Austrian heritage, and Schultz sees this as a cosmic sign. He's like, what are the odds that your wife can speak German and so can I. And especially too that like we have to think of the context of this time where for us, like knowing people or seeing people around that can speak other languages or no other languages is nowhere near as rare as it would have been in this time where
in the 1800s, yeah, definitely would have been. It would have been like finding a needle in a haystack type thing.
Completely, and that's how Schultz would have felt. He would have felt like this. He would have just found, and especially too, he highlights like a slave woman to know German. Yeah. Is a very rare thing to come around, and for him was destiny. And that's why he's like, the world and virtue is guiding me to help you here. And I really love that. That also happens in the first scene of the film, really, that it like establishes, like actually not the first scene, but like the first act of the film, it establishes this. And almost it's like that destiny has brought these two together. How great!
Nah, that is really fucking cool. Honestly, fucking hell.
I'm about ready to like finish it all up here. Do you have any final thoughts?
Not that I can think of. No, I will say though that I remember the day after I finished watching this movie, I kept the final song that plays while Django's blowing up the plantation. It was like a song by what's the guy, like John Legend. I kept listening to like one of the songs from this movie on my way to work because I was like, oh, this soundtrack's so fucking good. My goodness, I love this.
That is exactly where I wanted to end us off at. Is this soundtrack? If you want to feel like $1 million, if you want to feel like that you're in this Western genre film as you're walking down the street, listen to the Django Unchained soundtrack because it is phenomenal. And I think the only fitting way to leave us off is with the Django theme song.
Django, you must face another day. Django, now you're all
And don't forget to check out our Facebook page at MarathonMeOfficial, all one word, and our Instagram, MarathonMe_official, to keep up to date on the podcast. And hey, if you want to get into contact with us, email us at marathonmepodc, yes, the letter C, @gmail.com. Like podcast without the R.